to hear what you have to say about things. So there's that. I would also like to touch on the Gene Hackman death. Gene Hackman is dead. What the hell's going on with this microphone? Gene Hackman is dead, and it's one of those things where it started off in the morning getting reported that he and his wife were found dead in their Santa Fe home in New Mexico, and that even their dog was found dead. So the first thing I'm thinking is, oh, well, that's carbon monoxide, no doubt about it. And I went to go check, and there's about 500 people that die from carbon monoxide poisoning in the U.S. every year. I said, oh, this is just shit luck. And then we learned a little bit more about the circumstances and how many pets there actually were, and there was open doors and stuff. So, and then our friend Lauren Conlon and Bob Motta. Lauren Conlon was at the press release or something, and she also got the search warrant, and she put that out. So we're going to read a little bit of what she put out there in the second half of the show. I think that she's appearing on Bob Motta's channel tonight at some point. Oh, there you go. The microphone just corrected itself. Whatever the hell was going on, it was sizzling hot for a second. So that's going to be in the second half. I want to hear what you guys have to say about this, and we'll read through some of the points that are in the search warrant. I'll actually read portions of the search warrant. I'll read the things that Lauren Conlon itemized. Very, very peculiar things, and you can call it on that. It's a Thursday night, so I kind of saw this day congealing in the way that it was going to, and next Friday, the 7th of March, is when we will be hanging out and talking a little bit of showbiz and all that showbiz stories with our friend John Barber. So that's when that's all going on. So tonight we got this. Tomorrow we've got another little bit of like a free play kind of an evening. We'll see how that all works out. And then it's the weekend. So there we have it. All right, February 27th. It has now been officially kicked off. What else do I have for you? Anything? Nothing. So let's just get right into the grab bag. Number one, we're going to go to CBS News. CBS News, mystery illness in the Congo kills more than 50 people, including children who ate a bat. A bat. It's again happening. Mystery illness has wiped out 50 people, and this time it wasn't it wasn't Ebola, I guess, but they call it hemorrhagic, which is what they always describe Ebola as being. An unknown illness has killed over 50 people in the northwest of Democratic Republic of Congo, according to the doctors in the Central African nation and the World Health Organization. The interval between the onset of symptoms and death has been just 48 hours in the majority of cases. Damn, that comes on real fast. That's what's really worrying. Sergey Negobato, medical director of Bikoro Hospital, a regional monitoring center, told the Associated Press on Monday. The latest disease outbreak in Congo began on January 21st, and 419 cases had been recorded as of Monday, including 53 deaths. According to the WHO's Africa office, the first outbreak in the town of Boloko began after 3 children ate a bat and died within 48 hours following hemorrhagic fever symptoms. So that's when your insides melt down into a bloody soup. There have long been concerns about diseases jumping from animals to humans in places where wild animals are popularly eaten. The number of such outbreaks in Africa has surged by more than 60% in the last decade, the WHO said in 2022. So, looking out for that, because that sounds familiar. And you know somebody's going to be calling a Hail Mary sometime soon, because what the hell else is there? Here we have a little bit out of Utah, actually by way of Lauren Conlon. Utah County charges against the therapist, that's Hamlin, everybody, against therapist in ritualistic sex abuse investigation dropped again. Charges against former therapist David Hamlin in a Utah County ritualistic sex abuse case were dropped again due to evidence issues. Prosecutors argue for the option to potentially refile charges as the investigation continues, but the judge hasn't decided on that. The investigation involves allegations of ritualistic abuse with the calls to halt it amid claims of false accusations. So that's still being fought. And that's one of two charges that has been dropped. And we'll see what happens with that. So we'll keep an update on that one. Even the small low profile battles that are going on in this respect. And then, of course, we have Epstein, which how far does it really go? That's the biggest thing. How far does it really go? Because when you think about the big names we've gotten already, it's really small beans to the big picture. Whatever kind of celebrity names that we've seen on these flight logs, former presidents, former first lady, whatever, royal family members, prime ministers of Israel, whatever it is, that's actually small beans compared to what the operation was overall. Are we going there? Is Pam Bondi really going to pull that thread all the way on up until the whole thing unravels? Do you believe that? Some people out there do. Some people think that this is really a time for very bold change in the world. I am holding out on that one. I don't know, but we're going to put a few things on the table tonight, and you let me know what you think. All right, so here's another one for you. ABC News, there was a man dressed as a woman, of course, but ABC calls him a woman. A woman caught trying to plant explosive devices at Tesla dealership. At Tesla dealership. The extensive investigation into the case began on January 29th. A woman in Colorado, this is ABC News, calling a man a woman. Look, ABC News is calling this person a woman. Okay? It looks like the bassist of a new metal band from like 2002. I've seen this face in so many rock clubs in 2002, playing bass in a new metal band somewhere. A woman in Colorado has been arrested. Remember, every time I say woman, it's man. After police caught her with explosives at a Tesla dealership, police said. The 40-year-old suspect, Lucy. This guy's name is Lucy. Lucy Grace. Oh, just imagine the name picking process. I just always liked Lucy Grace.
Lucy Grace fits me.
The suspect was arrested on Monday after the Loveland Police Department launched an extensive investigation on January 29th following a series of vandalizations with incendiary devices at the Tesla dealership in Loveland, Colorado, according to a statement from police released on Wednesday. On Monday evening, Nelson returned to Loveland Tesla while in possession of additional incendiary devices, along with materials attributed to vandalism. What's that, like spray paint? Detectives apprehended Nelson prior to further damage occurring. Yes, you don't want further damage to occur. So, I guess the real point of this story is about ABC. I'm happy that news agencies like this are laying off a lot of people. I'm happy a lot of people are losing their jobs who work at these places. You know why? Because it is a reflection of what should happen to an absurd business model, a business with an absurd mission, whatever the hell it is, failing to make inroads with rational consumers. That's what it is. This is what should happen to businesses who fail to make inroads with rational consumers because they have nothing good to give them. Businesses like that should fail. In this case, I actually think they need to fail for the good of humanity itself, especially when you're being gaslit about who is committing violent crime. We're talking about car bombs here, not figure skating. Talking about car bombs, not high school basketball. So it's just incredible. Just incredible that someone had to sit down and write this. Who was it? John Hayworth. What an idiot. What an absolute idiot. Anyhow, a little bit more from New York. Kathy Hochul tells Trump to cough up, this is from AOL.com, by way of the New York Post, tells Trump to cough up $15 billion to fix the New York City subways if congestion pricing is cut. No. I hope he tells her to. President Trump will have to come up with $15 billion in federal cash to fix New York City's subway system. Federal cash to fix New York City's subway system. If he wants to cut congestion pricing, Kathy Hochul insisted on Thursday, as their ongoing spat over the controversial Manhattan toll only continues to escalate. Are these federal subways? Are they interstate subways? I don't understand. The Democrat said she gave Trump the so-called ultimatum during their White House sit-down last week, telling him that he would need to dip into the U.S. coffers to offset the billions the state is estimated to lose if the congestion toll is nixed. We're going to lose money if you nix this toll. No, well, you didn't have that money last year. You didn't have that. Can you imagine getting a toll in place that actually hinders your citizens' ability to travel freely without getting completely nailed? And before the toll is even a couple of months old, you're going to cost us billions. You've never even tasted those billions. Yeah, but we already spent it. I just let this state starve. Please just do it. Please just do it. I'm sorry, but the methadone drip, we've got to be taking off the methadone drip. I don't know how many people. You know how many Trump voters who work in the federal government lost their jobs already? I wonder if they voted for that. So you know what? I hope they understand why it needs to happen. And I hope they only double down on that. I hope they find themselves a new job. I really do. I don't want people to lose jobs, but this is why this situation should have never been built up in the first place. This is why. Because it becomes a political hot potato, and all of a sudden you're the one that's taking food off of people's plates. This is how governments create jobs. It's ridiculous. It's got to go away. It has to go away, or else we're not really a state. We're just a glorified voting district, which I know that's what it is for progressives. They don't care about anything like that. So they mismanage their own. There's plenty of money in New York City to manage all this stuff, to manage the subways. There's plenty of money, but they're putting it into ridiculous causes and ridiculous subsets of people, ridiculous priorities. So to hell with it. I say starve us. Starve us, please. You're going to have to give me 15. This is what she said. Apparently it's in quotes. You're going to have to give me $15 billion to invest in a subway system then. Hochul told MSNBC's Morning Joe of her closed-door meeting with the president on Wednesday. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, it's like retelling a story that makes yourself sound badass. I'm sure it went just like that. If I lose $15 billion that we're able to leverage with that money brought in by the congestion pricing, then I won't be able to fix the stations and the repairs and the new buses I need. If I lose $15 billion, this is the fucking mafia boss talking here. I mean, this is a low-level family, no doubt. She's a joke. If I lose $15 billion that we're able to leverage with the money brought in by congestion pricing, again, something that didn't exist a couple of months ago, then I won't be able to fix the stations. Well, pretend like it was just December and you still had to fix the stations and you have no congestion tax. How are you going to fix it? I don't know. Give illegal immigrants more benefits? Her apparent demand is just the latest development in the showdown between the feds and the state over the scheme to charge drivers $9 fee to enter Manhattan below 60th Street. The Trump administration has given the state a deadline of March 21st to cease the collection of tolls after U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy announced last week he was scrapping the federal approval. Hochul, for her part, has repeatedly vowed to resist the order. Okay, you vow, we move. That's it. We have to fight to keep this going. That's why I'm taking this to the courts, and I'll take it wherever I can. Ugh, you beaver fuck. Ugh. Ugh. Oh, gosh. Anyway, let's get this one kicked off, shall we? All right, we will be right back. Ladies and gents, be good and be well.
Daddy?
Hi, Gracie. Hi, honey.
Grace, I know I promised you I was coming home.
I don't understand.
Looks like I'm gonna have to break that promise.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's...
Obviously working together to try to make sure that they coasted through with it being provocative enough for people who don't really understand the depth of this situation to feel like something was being done and for them to be adequately shocked, including, of course, the mentioning of Donald Trump's name in court records at least a half a dozen times, because that was politically good for the gander as well. And then what you had was this. I remember this rush. You remember the rush to wrap up? That it was almost like a game of chicken. You know that on one side you have the prosecution that is representing the government that knows what, in some way or shape or form, knows what Epstein was doing and for whom. And then you have Maxwell, who is there supposedly being prosecuted by the government that she was in some way assisting. And you have this, we were talking about it being really a game of chicken. Who's got what on who, and what are the deals that, does she have to take the 20 years? Is she really in jail for 20 years? We know that she's part of the softball team out there, but does she really stay in there every day, all day? What's the plan there? And what keeps her in a place that accepts that? Obviously, she's not the head honcho. I think she was a little more high ranking than Jeffrey Epstein, but they moved that trial out the door so quick. And I remember them saying it was because COVID. There was a new COVID wave that was coming our way that year. I think it might have been 2022 or whatever the hell it was, that COVID was coming back and there was infections that were coming up. We had to get this out the door because we don't know if we can keep the jurors safe. So the Maxwell trial was like, it was the courtroom version of going to Food Emporium to buy up all the milk and eggs that you can the night before a blizzard hits town. Only the blizzard was a cold or mild flu. So she gets 20 years for apparently arranging all this stuff for Epstein, who by all matter at this point is only ever described by anybody that is covering this story in a mainstream sense as one man with insatiable sexually abusive appetites that nobody could say no to. That's what the frame job is. That's the Netflix version of what Jeffrey Epstein is. And even if that were the case, which it's not, if Ghislaine Maxwell is the one who was helping to provide him all of his human resources that in many cases came in the form of children, then never once, even though she got 20 years for all this stuff, never once a serious inquiry into even the Johns, the clientele that were rich and powerful enough to be coming to their private island to mutilate children. So this is something that is going to be very easy to see how controlled of a release it's going to be. To what end are they trying to mollify some of us? because to really give us what's necessary for the world to heal, you've got to pull the string until the whole damn sweater unravels. And that might mean the end of governments, entire governments. All right? Because this is not the first time that the United States government has been involved in something like this. All right? That we've used human lives, especially children lives, as some sort of a transactional currency. Okay? Definitely goes right up there to Israel. And I mean, we're talking about the mortar that holds together the current world order. This is the mortar that holds together the bricks of the current world order. It's going to be very easy to see whether or not we're being mollified and fucked around with, or if you're going to get something good. So here's a little bit from Zero Hedge that I think really puts into frame how day one has been truly bungled. And then you guys can call in to let me know if I'm seeing something wrong. It wasn't a bungle. It was a perfect setup for what is going to be a great payoff. Even if day one was not going to be the thing, the way that they set it's ridiculous. As of right now, I don't think. Is it out? I don't think it's even out. As of right now, I don't even know where the hell it is. It's not even out. So we were supposed to get it today. Instead, what was given was here. We'll just talk about it. Zero Hedge. After a lame Epstein files release, AG Pam Bondi demands withheld FBI files by 8 a.m. Friday. Now, I know that some of you say, well, this is the whole thing. Day one is going to be lame because Pam Bondi is playing her role in acting like, what the hell? Where's all the good stuff? And why did the FBI in New York, in the Southern District of New York, why are they withholding tens of thousands of documents that have so much there that we haven't seen before, instead of this other stuff that we have seen before, that maybe the normies haven't seen? But again, if this was a way to dangle the carrot in front of some normies who have never really looked into this at all in any kind of a concerted fashion, then that was bungled. Especially with this limited release that was given to these new media, conservative journalists and influencer types. So let's get to that right now. Well, that was a massive letdown. Today's Epstein files release was given to a select group of journalists and influencers. It didn't contain any new names or details of note. It was a nothing burger with no pickles or fries. And considering that Epstein was likely a Mossad honeypot operation, what did you expect? If you want a seriously good rundown of the Epstein files, we know what we know today and what we're looking for. Click into this guy's tweet and read the thread. It's from this guy, Jacob Shamsane. But here's a little bit more down at the bottom. In particular, we want this. Jacob Shamsane said, I would love it if the Department of Justice published records the FBI seized when they arrested Epstein and raided his properties in 2019. I filed FOIA requests for those records and have been denied. Hopefully, AG Pam Bondi will make them public. Listen, there's plenty of people out there who know exactly what needs to be claimed, what needs to be made public. People know. They know exactly where they want to go. And just so that you know, a lot of this stuff has probably whoever has what today, it probably has a lot to do with the Department of Justice's running of Operation Leap Year. And for that, I just want to remind you that on quitefrankly.tv, under the articles tab, if you go to blog, this was published in May of 2023. John Carroll went and took all of the timeline work that Frank and Jim Zell had put up on their website in thezeller.com and hosted it on ours so that we can syndicate it on our blog so it's there for posterity or for as long as there's an internet. Operation Leap Year. If you want to know the entire timeline of Operation Leap Year, which was the feds putting together a comprehensive investigation on everything that Epstein was doing in New York, in Florida, in New Mexico, and of course in the Caribbean, it was all there until somebody higher up put the kibosh on everything. Somebody was able to tell the FBI to stand down. I'd have to imagine it's the same somebody who made Cindy McCain, her husband, and all of their friends very, very nervous to go poking around into what Jeffrey Epstein was all about. and to hold him accountable. He was just that powerful of a guy. So just wanted to say that. That's up on quitefrankly.tv. I can put it in the show notes afterwards, perhaps. And let's move along. Jacob Shamsane, again, says, we saw some of these records and glimpses of others during bail arguments for Jeffrey Epstein and during Ghislaine Maxwell's trial. It's clear that there was a lot of material. And there's a headline, FBI agents used a saw to open a safe in Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan mansion that held hard drives and diamonds. We heard a lot about things that were being taken out of that apartment building, that mansion, that brownstone. We were hearing a lot of things about that time. You remember it was summer of 2019? I think it was after the death when there was the blackout in New York City. Everyone was wondering, what kind of what kind of retrieval operation was being run down there at that time. That was just speculation, cozy speculation in a time of political intrigue and assassination. Just nuts. But here you have a little bit more on that end. To that, there is still a glimmer of hope. Don't hold your breath. As Attorney General Pam Bondi announced on Thursday that there are still thousands of pages of documents in the FBI's investigation into Epstein that were withheld from her, which she demanded by tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Quote, by 8 a.m. tomorrow, February 28th, the FBI will deliver the full and complete Epstein files to my office. Here's the letter that she sent to Kash Patel. Now, the Zero Hedge article is being written in, I don't know, I guess it's pretty black-pilled about things. I'm still wait and see. I'm still wait and see. Because if this is the extent to which this release goes, you're not going to win any kind of brownie points with the people that matter. Okay? Who really know what is going to be necessary to change things around in big ways. Remember what we were saying? Whatever the hell is going to outlive Donald Trump over the next 3.5 years that he's going to be in office, but 4 years that he's going to be in office, it's going to be disclosure. Disclosure is going to be at the top of it. And that's not just alien disclosure or free energy or anything else like that. It is, you've got to pull back the green curtain on as much as you can so people can see what the hell is ruling over them. What kind of monstrosity is ruling over them, and to create predicate for shutting it down for good so that when Donald Trump leaves, hopefully, this is my dream, no matter who the hell the president is, my dream is that after 4 to 8 years of absolutely decimating the mutant body that is our current federal government, decimating it down to its original size and shape and order, you lock up all the doors, all the windows of all the now shuttered agencies, and you burn down all the buildings so that they can never be opened up again. And then you walk away and you go retire, and you would have saved your country, at least for a generation or two, because it would take a lot of time for that to be established again. That's my whole thing. You can call that fascism, but how can you say that making sure that no president, no Congress could ever have this kind of micromanaging power over people's lives again, regardless what fascist would make it so that going forward, their own party would be limited in this respect and things would be decentralized in such a significant way. That's the whole point here. That's what I would love. I would love to see it. But I don't know. There's here, take a listen to this. Dear Director Patel, before you came into office, I requested the full and complete files related to Jeffrey Epstein. In response to this request, I received approximately 200 pages of documents, which consisted primarily of flight logs, Epstein's list of contacts, and a list of victims' names and phone numbers, essentially everything we've already had. And I guess that's what was in the binder today that everybody got, their little welcome binder. I repeatedly questioned whether this was the full set of documents responsive to my request and was repeatedly assured by the FBI that we had received the full set of documents. Late yesterday, I learned from a source that the FBI field office in New York was in possession of thousands of pages of documents related to the investigation and indictment of Epstein. Despite my repeated requests, the FBI never disclosed the existence of these files. When you and I spoke yesterday, you were just as surprised as I was to learn this new information. By 8 a.m. tomorrow, February 28th, the FBI will deliver the full and complete Epstein files to my office, including all records, documents, audio and video recordings, and materials related to Jeffrey Epstein and his clients, regardless of how such information was obtained. There will be no withholdings or limitations to my or your access. The Department of Justice will ensure that any public disclosure of these files will be done in a manner to protect the privacy of victims and in accordance with the law, as I have done in my entire career as a prosecutor. I'm also directing you to conduct an immediate investigation into why my order to the FBI was not followed. You will deliver to me a comprehensive report of your findings and proposed personnel action within 14 days. That means who are we getting rid of and what charges may be filed against them. I appreciate your immediate attention to this important matter. I know that we are both committed to transparency for the American people, and I look forward to continuing to work with you to serve our president and our country. Pam Bondi. So this is why I'm reserving everything. Today was not managed well. Whatever you're going to release to everybody. Don't give it to a couple of people, libs of TikTok, the DC Drano guy. And on top of that, they started having these ridiculous copy and paste talking points that were going around, like this Chad Prather guy, whoever he is. Today, I met with President Trump and the vice president, blah, blah, blah. The best part, this is just a start. AG Bondi confirmed there are thousands more Epstein files coming. People will be going to jail for what they've done, blah, blah. And then DC Drano says the same thing. The best part, this is just a start. AG Bondi confirmed that there are thousands more Epstein files coming, held in SDNY. People are going to be going to jail for what they've done. I mean, this is the same kind of stuff that Brooklyn Dad and JoJo from Jers do when they're high on crack and tweeting constantly, everything that the DNC gives them. I don't want to see that shit. I'm not miffed. I'm not miffed in a professional sense. I don't care about being able to break news. I don't care talking about news that's 3 days old. I'm not a journalist. I don't care. Usually when I go live at 7 o'clock, most stories of the day have already been, hashed out by 10,000 other broadcasts before I get a hang on it. I don't give a shit about that stuff. It was just odd. It really was. So give it to everybody. Give it to everybody. That's number one, because that's what we were expecting, to just be able to read it on our own. But this whole thing about Pam Bondi and 8 a.m. tomorrow is interesting because it makes me wonder, and I know it makes a couple of you guys and gals wonder as well, how much of this is kabuki theater? How much of this was planned exactly this way? That day one was going to be an underwhelming 200 pages that we've already seen before, and then there's going to be this February 27th letter from the Office of the Attorney General that tells Kash Patel, we have been disobeyed in an egregious way. I want them, and I want the thousands of pages, and I want audio and video and all that. I want all that stuff right now. Hey, we definitely haven't seen anything of that. So how much of this was a setup and then a punt, or setup and spike, I should say? I don't know. But there was other ways to dangle the carrot today, because even the GOP, the House Judiciary Committee, what in the world was this? The House Judiciary Committee went and they went and tweeted this out. Where the hell is it? Hold on a second. Hold on. So, yeah, okay. Yeah, here it is over here. The House Judiciary Committee went and tweeted this out. This is at 3:37 p.m. today. Breaking: Epstein files released. This is from the official House GOP. Okay? And what they did was they rickrolled everybody. They put a tiny URL link up there. Everybody thinking that they're getting the Epstein files today. And what they got was they got rickrolled. They got rickrolled. And so many people were like, you had to double check to make sure this wasn't a parody account that was just mocking House Judiciary GOP, like it was just some like Democrats out there who wanted to make them look bad for people who were just whatever, but it's true. Whole lot of screwing around going on out there. Like they're announcing lottery numbers or something like that. This is information people are interested in that pertains to an international sex slavery operation that uses children as currency. And the House Judiciary Committee goes and delivers this, I don't know what, this Ovaltine commercial as a joke. Where is it? Yeah. There you go. There you go. Sorry about children being raped in the Caribbean. Here's Rickroll. Here's your Rick Astley special. This is what the House Judiciary Committee gave everybody today. That's sick. That's really sick. Whoever the hell's I hope that whoever runs that account got fired. I really do. Fucking give everybody an Ovaltine commercial over here like that. So anyway, the special access delay thing was ridiculous today, and I don't understand anyone who's defending it, saying that people who are complaining are just jealous. It's not about jealousy, especially on a professional level. As just a American citizen, I want to be able to read this if there was something worthy of reading. But I guess the one bright spot is that perhaps there is a much larger game plan that is tied in with the Pam Bondi, Kash Patel angle here and what phase 2 or 3 may be. I want to hear what you guys have to say. 914-200-0269, 914-200-0269. Here's another little something for you from, this is from Alina Habba, who is one of President Trump's lawyers. This is from Piers Morgan's official Twitter. She tells Piers Morgan that Jeffrey Epstein list is expected to be released today. Of course, it was not. It's incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, information, names will come out, and she's very forthright about how this is, what kind of results this is going to bring us to. So let me take a moment to listen to this, and we're going to go right to your calls. So get your phones ready. Hold on a second. Here we go.
We're told are to be imminently unleashed, and already we saw the Attorney General Pam Bondi say that it's the scale of what happened is far worse than anyone realized. Well over 200, maybe 250 victims, and that we're going to get information either later today or tomorrow from these files. What can you tell me about that?
I believe it will be today. I was just with, I saw Pam and Kash in the White House just before coming on your show. And I can tell you that I haven't been privy to it yet, but I know it is coming out. They will be taking portions of it. We have to be patient. And I said this last night at a dinner with some media. And I said, I think America needs to remember one thing. We are going to be promises made, promises kept. But when you're dealing with victims, and by the way, this is a perfect example of a case that was vetted, that went through trial, that had testimony, and was prosecuted the right way. I don't preemptively attack. That's just not the way I operate. But in this case, in Epstein's case, it is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
Is it going to be shocking?
I don't see how it's not shocking that there were so many individuals that were hidden and kept secret and not been held accountable. Let's talk about the reverse. I believe in accountability. So you have to now go through your process. Now, I won't say they're guilty until they go through their time in court. But again, now it's time for accountability. We have seen for so many years, Pierce, in this country, many investigations, subpoenas, testimonies in Congress, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a general frustration with accountability. We take it halfway. We don't take it home. And I really believe that now with Kash and Pam, there will be accountability.
What do you think about that? Let's take a call. Sentinel, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Good evening, Frank. Good show.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think people need to remember that everything that's been going on since Inauguration Day has been produced to have maximum impact for those who are watching and to tell stories. The president says he's going to do this, then he makes a big deal out of doing something. And until we get Congress to actually pass a budget, everything that we've been seeing with Doge and all that other stuff is just to get us to talk about it. maybe even call our congressman and bitch at him. So I do think it's theater, and but I want them to follow through. I think they will. So that's what I have for a comment for this topic.
Okay. Well, I'm with you on that one. I was actually just talking about that with Zach and Adel before. I said it's been very illuminating the last month or so with the Doge audits. Just be able to take a look at things and lay your eyes on some of these figures. But as far as actually tightening the belt, that's something that's. Well, I mean, there has to be some congressional action there. The Department of Justice is pretty autonomous in its pursuit of prosecuting crimes against that are committed in the United States, crimes against humanity. Things like this. They are pretty autonomous in what they can be doing. So I wonder about what kind of a setup this is all about. If you're talking about creating maximum visibility. I think there was better ways of doing this today, even if day one was never really about blooding your lip, but just getting your attention. Say, hey, everybody, here, read this and get reacquainted to what you may have already known. And if you haven't already known it, then read it. Because phase 2, with all the stuff that's been held back, and that's the other thing here, too. When I think about the SDNY and I think about the FBI in New York, I think about Loretta Lynch. I think about the Eric Garner trial, the guy that died with the cigarettes in New York City, how they were using that against. They were going to use that against the NYPD for apparently wanting to do something bigger in public disclosure with what they had found on the Anthony Weiner laptop, because it's still to this day. I want some big explanations about that. I know that the guy that told us all about it in October of 2016 has now kind of like fallen from a lot of people's good graces as far as his reputation, Eric Prince. But I'll always remember that call talking about the Anthony Weiner laptop, the Espionage Act violations, bad enough that you have this, this pervert's laptop that he shares with his wife, who is good friends and confidants of Hillary Clinton and God knows what else. And in all the times that she's running her international, she's got her lemonade stand running out of her house and her server at her house, all that activity is being synced with this laptop that Anthony Weiner is, he doesn't have any, security clearances and all that stuff. And you have it all popping up over there where he's running all of his own sexual shit and God knows what the hell else. And I want to know more about that. Do we go that far? Here's the other question for you guys here too. The big one is this. Do you believe that Pam Bondi will actually bring this right up to the front door of Israel, the CIA and Mossad? Do you think that this was going right up to the top? And I want to hear from you guys who think that yes, the world is going to change by hook or by crook. Let's take a call. 336, you're on the air. What's going on? Bev?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hey, there's a couple things I'd like to say.
Okay.
First of all, it's like egg all over their faces today with the Epstein file. Secondly, I have hope that they're going to come through, but whoever had the nerve to put together that folder with all the black redacted pages, that person needs to be fired. And I don't understand what's going on with New York as far as the FBI, unless they Patel and Bongino haven't had enough time to really get in and clean out. But this
wait, Beverly, what do you mean by folders with all the black redacted paper? You actually saw something today? The only thing I saw today was like libs from TikTok and Mike Cernovich and all those people.
Okay, well, I watched Benny Johnson.
Uh-huh.
And he was given a folder, and he showed us just page after page of black out pages. Then there were pages towards the end that were names of the flight log list, which we've already seen. Okay, they made a point of showing Clinton's name all these different times.
Okay.
But and initials JK and GM. I figured GM is Ghislaine Maxwell, but who's JK?
All right. Well, you know what? I have to go. I have to see it to really understand what you're talking about here. So you feel like they have egg on their face, and you're waiting to see what comes out of New York.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And I do think that they'll come through.
All right.
But what an embarrassment! What an embarrassment!
It's just it's just something that should never have been hyped. Obviously, you can say there's going to be a release today. It should have just been. It should have just been a little bit more. Thank you for the call, Beverly. It should have just been a little bit more forthright. There's going to be an initial release today, and then it should have been posted on some kind of a designated PDF, posted on a designated DOJ website that gets around. I mean, that would make you can actually make the argument that a lot more people would be looking into this right now if more. I mean, actually, you could. It goes without saying that only a couple of people who have this stuff in their possession, even if it's already been seen before, a lot more people, it would be on their radar if it was available for everybody to be looking through it. And you also don't have to make a big deal about it. You can be pretty neutral about what this first round is going to be. But again, what does the letter from Pam Bondi mean, and how pre-planned was this? Why not just drop it all into our laps? Why not? Well, maybe one more time to expose, what the kind of resistance that's being put up on the inside. And again, I'm really interested to see what's been preserved in New York, even though we don't know what could have been lost along the way. It's just like, it's crazy stuff. I hope it is, at least. 864, you're on the air. Go ahead. Andrew.
Hey, Frank, it's good to get through to you.
What's going on, Andrew? Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
I can. Go ahead.
Hey, concerning all this Epstein business, I think we've all been here before during 2020 to 2021. The whole, just wait 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think it's about time to put some pressure on these people that have been stringing us along. Make some phone calls, call your attorney generals, governors, whatever. Because they're getting about as bad as, people that originally on that island.
You know what? There's a lot to be said about this, because of course, if everything that the feds have in New York is presented to Pam Bondi's office by 8 a.m. tomorrow, then you're talking about thousands of pages that need to be looked through by people at the DOJ to make sure that every victim's name is properly redacted and everything else like that. And how much longer is that going to take? So phase one is today, and then and most of us haven't even seen anything.
2 weeks,
and then at least 2 weeks, I would have to imagine. But
that's about all I got. Thank you for taking my call.
Well, thank you for calling in. It's great to hear from you.
All right. You have a nice night.
Take care. You too. A source who has reviewed the files and said the release spans more than 100 pages, including a list of contacts, without further context. The person said the unveiling was likely to be a disappointment to sleuths eager for bombshell new evidence about the billionaire pedophile's connection to prominent political and business leaders. Former President Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, Prince Andrew, the President Trump are among the high-profile people who associated with Epstein. Though Trump reportedly banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago in 2007 over an incident with a club member's daughter, and also the only one ever to reach out to attorney Brad Edwards and actually volunteer information. Not to mention that Trump's got his own intelligence services since like the 80s. He's got his own intelligence service since the 80s. And again, if there was something there over the last 4 years where everything from assassination to lawfare in multiple states for multiple reasons to try to keep this guy off the campaign trail, in jail, or in the grave, they had something like this would be released all over the place. No doubt about it. On top of that, you also have Glenn Simpson, who was paid by Hillary Clinton to put together all that the dossier, the Russia dossier for with Fusion GPS. We learned about that early on, that he went deep into the weeds with Jeffrey Epstein to try to build a substantial link between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein so that he could play that angle, and they couldn't do it. It's nothing like Jeffrey Epstein bragging about how he was the one who really was the mind behind the creation of the Clinton global initiative and all that stuff. So, they like throwing names around, but what they're willing to do if they actually have somebody dead to rights, because they've had to make everything up to this point. A client list is not included in the initial release, which was compiled into binders describing the disclosure as phase 1 of the Epstein files, according to the source. Here's the other thing about phase 1 and phase this and that. The Twitter files, nobody gave a shit after release number 3. Wasn't there 17 Twitter files? Yes, they're crazy. Yes, they gave us all the information that we needed to know to confirm how the current administration at that point was twisting the arm of American social media companies to be able to censor Americans and essentially have that chilling effect on American free speech, and to manage several narratives that were all civil rights violations and everything else, including some that violated the Geneva Conventions for sure. But don't stretch this out to Epstein files phase 18. Don't do it. Gonna do this shit. Give it to us in 2-3 phases at the most, because the Twitter files got boring real fast. They in the end, it was great public disclosure, but really it was just an example. It was a way for a couple of journalists out there to really build up their Substack subscriptions. Let's see here. Earlier in the day, the DOJ passed out binder copies of the phase 1 to various people. This is just the start, AG Bondi confirmed. There are thousands more Epstein files being secretly held in SDNY, that's the Southern District of New York, and they will be delivered to the DOJ in D.C. by February 28th, she wrote. So, needless to say, the way this release has been handled has not been going over well. Representative Anna Paulina Luna says, I nor the task force were given or reviewed the Epstein documents being released today. A New York Post story just revealed that the documents will simply be Epstein's phone book. This is not what we or the American people asked for, and a complete disappointment. Another one, T. Beckett Adams, says, going out on a limb here, but treating a supposed kitty diddler dossier like it's a Wonka ticket is both a poor strategy and gross. True, and a great way of putting it. Like it's a Wonka ticket. Hey everyone, I have a list of all the numbers of an ultra-powerful international pedophile ring. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Yeah, I know. That's a great way of putting it. So what comes next? I guess the Southern District of New York is the real thing. Because who knows? All right, let's take a call. 928, you're on the phone. Go right ahead. Who's this?
This is Brewbark.
Oh, what's going on, Brewbark? How you doing?
Hey, on this Epstein release stuff, you realize that any name that gets released gets a free get out of jail card. The jury pool will be tainted. I mean, I'm willing to wait until they're sitting in a prison cell before I hear the name.
Well, then there should be nothing but us going about our lives until we wake up one morning and hear that somebody's been arrested.
Yeah.
So the
exactly.
why all of this stuff? Why all of this?
I think they're hoping that their name gets released before they're indicted, because any sleazeball defense attorney will be able to say, my client can't get a fair trial.
I guess so. I mean, I if anybody out there has anything that they'd like to say on that respect, I'd like to hear some opinions. But I don't know. The one guy the chief figure in all this is dead. One other person is already serving 20 years, and I don't know. I feel like why would that screw up? If anybody out there from a legal perspective can call and tell me, why would the revelation of names on the buyers list and visitors and all that stuff, why would that screw up ongoing investigations? That's what I would like to know, if it's just publicly made information. Because
I just can't imagine that, somebody like Bill Gates wouldn't be able to get out of it. Oh, my name was released. How could I possibly get a fair trial?
Well, I mean, I don't know. And thanks for the call, Brew Bark. But again, with Bill Gates, I mean, one of his chief science officers was a backup executor to Jeffrey Epstein's estate. The MIT link that continues coming up time and time again. So, I mean, if there is crime, then it's the evidence of the crime. It's how evidence of the crime is handled that is really going to screw up somebody's chances of getting a conviction in a courtroom. But, I don't know, the presence of a person at the scene of a crime or something else, I don't know how that shakes out. Hopefully we can get somebody else to come in and give us the brass tacks on that. Danelle, go ahead, Danelle.
Hi, this is Kitty.
Hey, Kitty.
Yes, I was calling in response to a previous caller talking about having egg on their face.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, earlier today when all that happened, and I thought, gee, what a letdown, that it took some planning and thought to put those binders together. Who in the world would have advised them to do such a thing? I'd like to know whose bright idea that was, just to come out there and, oops, black page after black page.
It could. I don't know. Like I said, it was not very well thought out, if you ask me. And
yeah, well, it like I said, it took some planning and effort to put all those binders together.
Totally.
And to be feeling so confident to all of a sudden, nothing that we've never seen. But yeah. That's my thought.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. There's some more. Let's take it a little bit more. 972, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello, Frank. How you doing, buddy?
I'm all right. Who's this?
This is Doug in Dallas.
What's going on, Doug in Dallas?
Well, 2 points. Trump doesn't make these mistakes, okay? What if there's an issue with the New York branch of the FBI?
Oh, there totally is.
Okay. See, the evidence isn't the flight log anyway. The evidence is the videos used in the blackmail.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Schemes.
Absolutely. And we know that this stuff that we're getting right now is it's already been used in trials before. But other than that, like you said, it's the material evidence of people actually committing crimes. That's it, for sure.
Right. And what if he's trying to open the eyes of the liberal media and get them into this subject again, but get them involved in a way that they're pointing at Trump as making a fool of himself. They're using it against Trump. They got all of a sudden they get the side of the left to come start fighting. Look what he's done with the Jeffery. You know why he's doing this with, and all that stuff. And I think that's when he's actually going to start revealing the evidence, because you can't reveal this evidence without arrest following or already happened behind the scenes. You can't release this evidence and then go arrest somebody a month later. If you've had this evidence and they can prove that the New York office has had this evidence and that person is still walking the streets and they possess a video of him with an 8-year-old, whoever it is in the world, the American public is just not going to stand for that.
Yeah, but
they're going to turn on. Yeah,
but that again, Doug, that's something that would come up over the course of a trial. There would be no evidence presented to the country. So it'll be interesting to see known associates and all that other stuff that could be made public in some way. Accusations, testimony from other victims who have otherwise been had their names redacted and stuff. But we're not most of us. And thank you for the call. Oh wait, you had two things to say.
No, that was it. The second one was that he's using it to reintroduce the public that never really paid attention the first time around on this subject.
Well, like I was going to say is that most of us out here, and thanks for the call, Doug from Dallas, most of us out here don't think like prosecutors or lawyers. We don't. That's why I always love when somebody out there who works in that field calls up and talks about the actual process of preserving evidence and actually, bringing it into a courtroom and getting a day in court and actually being able to get somebody behind bars without screwing up. It's actually one of those topics that pops up a lot when we do true crime nights. It has popped up a few times when we've talked to Mike King or even Bob Mata. I brought him up before, and we've talked about Jay is for Justice, and I don't know, we've done quite a bit on that. Megan Fox. What do you do with all of the evidence that you've got? If you are some internet sleuth that is really trying to crack some kind of a cold case out there, you really love true crime, you're following along, you actually hit the phones a little bit, you've got some actionable intelligence there. What do you do? Where do you bring it so you don't actually hurt the chances of somebody to go to jail who deserves to go to jail? So I wonder what we actually do get to see. What we actually do get to hear about. If we get names, how much detail is going to be attached to what that, where did the names show up? That maybe that would be it. But as far as detail of what they've done and evidence to back it up, I have to imagine that would be kept under lock and key until trial. That's why when we hear things about the Wiener laptop, when we hear things about what was on that laptop, the life insurance policy folder that apparently had shit that was so bad on there that grizzled New York City detectives threw up in the hallway of one precinct or another. And then came the whole strong arming from the FBI, from the DOJ in the NYPD. I mean, those are the things those very, very rare cases where we get just a little bit of insight or an idea of what the details may have been. But I don't know how this would be worked. That's actually a great question. What do you think? What do you think would be in phase 2 or 3 of this that would satisfy you to know that we're moving in the right direction and it's going to be the real deal without a day in court being ruined by revealing too much? Maybe that's something that maybe I can open up a hotline number in the second half for some of our lawyers out there to let me know, all you trial lawyers. So let's take a call. One more from Eric. How you doing?
Hey, bud. Good, and you?
I'm doing all right. So what's on your mind?
So I got a little insight on this. If it gets out to the public, it could harm, the court case or something.
Are you a lawyer?
No, but I was involved in a case because I was a witness to an illegal immigrant, third-time DUI, and no justice was being taken. So I took it upon myself to get the news involved, and they found multiple cases of people with 4-time, 5-time DUIs just getting extended by the court to not make it look like we have so many drunk drivers on the road, prosecuted drunk drivers. So when they got involved, when the news went to go talk to the guy, he went back to court. I was still a witness, so I had to show up. And he tried to claim that, with the news being involved and it being high profile, that now he's not going to get a fair trial. But he doesn't need a trial. He blew 3 times over the limit. The cop, he had an open container. The cop's car, he even specified in the police report that the car smelled like booze, but they still wanted a trial. And the judge just dismissed the case because the news was involved and they didn't think he would get a fair trial.
So when you analyze, when you take your experience with the DUI and the illegal alien and you transfer it over to this, how do you think it would play out?
I think a good lawyer, he didn't have a good lawyer, but it was enough to persuade the judge to just say, yeah, on those grounds are enough to just get it dismissed.
Okay. All right. So they got to be careful then.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think they have to be very careful.
But at the same time, I have to imagine that the Attorney General of the United States knows exactly what the plan is, and that this has been game planned to some degree. I still believe by reading this this Pam Bondi letter that it just feels like all of this was absolutely planned out to be happening in this specific order. So perhaps the entire SDNY was really the basis for a lot of what they're trying to target and extract for this. And we'll see. We'll just see how crazy the process gets. Thank you for the call. All right, let's go to a really quick break. When we come back, your calls, more of your calls, and we're going to get into the Gene Hackman thing. We'll work that in as well, but you don't have to stop calling on all this because I want to hear your theories and all that stuff. How far up the ladder are we going? What is the next phase? Is that where the meat is? And especially if you are a lawyer, give us a buzz. We'll be right back.
Did you settle for PG-13?
What's that?
Oh, gee! Good night, Bobby.
Quite frankly, he's amazing.
All right, so my buddy Russ, the confluence on Twitter, he just sent me a link to a tweet from the U.S. Department of Justice that was around 6:44 p.m. So just as we were about to start this show, that is when the Attorney General Pam Bondi releases first phase of declassified Epstein files. So that's for all of us, I guess. Now I'm going to look into this. Hold on. I can't read it right now, but apparently this may be what everybody got in their binders today. So just be on the lookout for this. U.S. Department of Justice is on Twitter. It's at the Justice DEPT, the Justice DEPT. And there's at 6:45, just as we were going live here. Some of the comments. Thank God you guys got these out to the conservative influencers first so that they can get their photo op and their clicks for monetization purposes. Not sure how we would have been able to review these files without them having the Nothing Burger files first. People are upset. That's what I'm talking about. People are upset. So you can say, no, Frank, this is about you. This is about you. Think about phase 2. Okay, that's great. If this had to be done in 2 phases, if Pam Bondi had to bring attention to what's going on at the Southern District of New York, and they have to start cleaning out the offices over there and apprehend and seize whatever's going on over there, then either do that first. Because, I mean, it's not like, I mean, you have the power to compel this kind of action out of the FBI to go and do that. So go do it. I'm sure there was a plan. I just think it's possible that the plan may not have been that good for day 1, at least. This is insulting, says somebody else. Phase 1 was a joke. It was not a good decision. But I'm looking forward to what comes next, and I'm still intrigued. I'm not black-pilled, but so I'm going to save this because I'm looking at what it looks like everything I've seen before, and many of you have seen before as well. There's 118 pages here, and I'm just going to star that, and who the hell knows? Who knows where it goes from here? But let's take a couple of calls, and I'm going to get to your super chats, and then actually we'll do the super chats first, get those out of the way. Dooku Dan says, Frank, I never liked Bondi. She became a nominee after the orchestrated attack on Matt Gaetz. She's there to run interference. Her letter to Patel is equal to her claim that the files were on her desk. It's to cover her ass for plausible deniability and push the blame elsewhere. She did say that it was on her desk. She didn't say that it was only the same thing that everybody had seen had been on her desk. Dooku Dan also says the nominee delays, especially Patel. Let's see, hold on. They keep disappearing. Especially Patel bought time for insiders to destroy evidence and paper trails today. That was a Glee-level production by the Florida DeSantis contingent. Why else would Cernovich get Binder? He was not a Trump supporter. Benny Johnson is also sus. Well, I don't know. I can't go as far. I can't believe that Kash Patel would go along with something to buy people time to destroy evidence. I actually believe in his his hunger to get something done, at least on this front and a few others. But I have no affection for Pam Bondi. That's what Dooku Dan thinks. What do you think? Hold on a second. Let me see here. Okay, here's another one from Jared. Jared, a couple hours ago, actually before the show started, says, Frank, you know you're making an impact when the trolls take the time to harass you. Unfortunately for them, they're just dunking on themselves. Congrats, Frank. Oh, please, that wasn't a troll. It wasn't a prank caller. It was a mentally handicapped man who probably has medically induced AIDS, if you know what I mean. If you read the Yale report, that's probably what happened. Medically induced AIDS called me last night. Ridiculous. So if you know, you know, right? Okay, let's see. What else do I have here? And thank you, Q Revere. Says, F that caller last night. Oh, well, he did that to himself. Ridiculous. Okay, moving on to Rumble. Let's see what's going on in Rumble. We got a nice little group over there hanging out. Any Rumble rants? None. Guys, I will read your Rumble rants on air. Don't be shy. Thank you so much. And then we'll take your calls right after I check the gold pills on quitefrankly.tv. Here we have it. Geneseppe, thank you so much. Stuck in New York says, cheers, Frank. Cheers to you, Paisan. River Pike, Safety Net 820 says, love is the main ingredient in this low-calorie treat. The main ingredient. Sean Joe TikToks says, good evening. Hope you're all doing well. Same to you. Same thing to you, TikTok. Sean Joe C. Blanche ATD 1204. Exactly what I expected, says ATD 1204. I wasn't ready to jump out of my skin. But all of my friends who are optimistic about this, they told me, listen, I don't think that day one is going to be much of anything. I didn't expect the self, I don't know. I didn't expect some kind of a weird media thing going on there, but Braves Piano, thank you. The Sentinel says Phase 3 should be like Godfather 2's Connie's son baptism scene. That's Godfather 1. Oh, Connie. Yeah, no, Connie, no, that's the baptism scene is is Godfather 1. The AG announces arrest in real time. That's what I would like. That's what I would like. Now, what you can say is, for example, Jim Comey in 2016, we knew that Hillary Clinton was under investigation. We knew that something was going on. this stuff was announced, what was being looked into, and everything. And then at the end, we were told what was found and whether or not there was going to be charges filed. So I would hope that we can understand who is being nabbed and who's being looked up, who's being looked into. And then somewhere down the line, there is wouldn't it be great if it's all on July 5th? Just like July 5th, 2016, when they said, no reasonable prosecutor would come after Hillary Clinton for all of these crimes that I just listed in this laundry list. If this actually goes our way, if this goes America's way, all right, if justice is actually pursued with a passion, there's no day other than July 5th that this should be done. No day other than July 5th. Oh, let's see here. Especially if you get to nab James Comey. Brewbark says, thanks for taking my call. Still hoping for an interview with Paul Anthony Wallace. C. Blanche, Delona 55, tip Gene Hackman, one of my hometown stars. And then Tomcat 01 NJ. All right, that's what I have for you guys here. That's what I have. We'll move on to that just for a second. Let's take a call from Aaron Moriarty. What's going on, Truth Quest?
Hey, Frank. Wow. I have something I think might happen. You know, the King Charles made a new, invited Trump over for a grand whatever. Okay. They're probably trying to negotiate to keep Prince Andrew and the royal family out of the Epstein thing. We got the master negotiator there, Trump. He might just come out of that meeting and name England as our 52nd state.
Yeah, that'd be something. Hey, we'll keep you out of the news. Just give us your entire country.
Yeah.
Except for London. You can keep London, but we'll keep everything else.
Something like that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
I don't know.
See what you bring up right there, Aaron, is it really cuts to the core of this one, is that at the ooey gooey core of this entire story are heads of state, royal families, major intelligence services, and the lives of innocent children. So, and women, men. I mean, there's a lot going on here, and how far do you go? How far do the entire world is kept very polite, even though it's very impolite. It's only as polite as it is because people don't know about what their rulers know and what they have seen and what many of them have taken part in. You know, that's why we are as polite as we are, and we have got a lot of problems. So, how far does it ever really go? That's what many of us have thought in the past. Who's going to be willing to really pull that thread? And how independent can a person operating at the DOJ ever really be without being beholden to somebody else that they've crossed over the course of their lives? You know, it's so ingrained in everything.
But transparency brings truth. So I think truth heals, and I think it will be a great thing to heal. It'll be a horrible, ugly, sore wound for a while. But when it scabs over, the world will be a better place. We'll know how dirty and deep this thing goes with children and how horrifying it is. And to vow it'll never happen again. And I just think that has to happen. And I have faith that it will. And Trump's the guy to. In 2012, he said, they grab the children and take them. The perverts grab the kids and quick trial, death penalty.
Well,
something like that.
From your lips to God's ears, I really hope so, and I think a lot of people are hoping for that too. We have our hopes, and then then everything else is just trying to assess the lay of the land there and being as practical as we can. So that's where we're at right now. And after a day like today, you really just have to be in the speculation business to keep your hopes really high, because what do you walk away with after today? I mean, there's going to be some really interesting things coming out of New York. That's what we got to look forward to next. And then we see from there. And sometime along,
I think.
Go ahead.
I think even more than that. I think that the gone are the days where things aren't coming out. If they're not coming out, they're going to find the problem, fix it, and get the stuff out. I think that's really, really awesome that's going to happen. It's starting to happen. This is what it looks like.
Well, thank you again, Aaron Moriarty, Truth Quest. Have a good night.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, there you go. Yes. Yes, so much. Yes to that. Okay, you know what? Let me just move on to this real quick. Jay Britt says, I'll withhold judgment until I'm shocked with something I haven't already seen. Great show, Frank. That's from Quite Frankly Superchat.com. It's a universal super chat. You can use it no matter where you are. And there you have it. So let me go and bring this up real quick. This James Lindsay guy. Whatever role Israeli intelligence had, this is 2 days ago. Whatever role Israeli intelligence had, if any, with the Epstein operations, and there's likely to be a significant role played, the propaganda that will result from its exposure will be incredible, dishonest, and extremely divisive. George Floyd-level division will follow. So, somebody under the comments said, it's the old Norm Macdonald meme again. What terrifies me is if Israel were to blackmail our politicians using underage sex slaves, imagine the backlash against our greatest ally. It's incredible. Wow. Listen, there's a lot. There is a lot, my friends. A lot to be said about this. But that's incredible. So, again, the Epstein plea deal timeline and Operation Leap Year, you can find that on quitefrankly.tv. You should definitely do that. Let's take a moment to take another call. Hold on. 281, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Frank.
Hey.
Is this Frank?
It is. Is this Gerald?
Yeah, I was just kidding. I know this is Frank.
Hey, what's up, Gerald?
Hunting Abramovich.
Hell, what's going on? Good to have you on.
I got a job with the IRS. I was just wondering how you're doing.
Oh, no, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you.
So here's an idea, okay? Stay with me on this one. So you got to think like Trump. This whole thing could be bait, okay? The FBI has been suppressing this whole thing for how long? 8 years?
Yeah, well, at least since 2019. Now, I guess we have to talk about the day of. Well, no, you're right. They're part of that big operation. Around 2008 and 9 is when it really popped off. So it's a long time.
So he dangles this list out there. The evidence is coming out. He gets Bondi to say, "Here it comes." They ask for the evidence from the FBI, the same crooked bastards that's been hiding it the whole time, knowing that they're going to fudge the numbers, they're not going to give them what they want, and they trap them into making crimes a day so they don't have to do what they did in 2008 or 2009. They can get them for what they did today. And so what you did today, she's already wrote the letter. She wants to know who the hell, messed this up, who's holding the evidence back, and they got them all. They got all of them. So these guys have been suppressing the evidence for this long. They played their hand one card too long, and he got them.
No, absolutely. See, this is what I'm talking about. I can see because of the way that the letter was worded from Pam Bondi and all that stuff. Yeah. I can see there being some sort of a play that's being made here where, all right, let's get this out. I've got it on my desk today, and it's some good stuff. Oh, wait a second. What is this on my desk? Where's the rest of it? And that's
everybody's pissed off about it.
That's the whole other thing here. This would be underwhelming across the board, no matter what. They did themselves.
Roll.
Yeah, the whole social media disservice they did to themselves was flack they did not have to take. That was ridiculous, but.
Well, and now the blowback is to the FBI. So now you got old Glass Eye. He's going to be in there asking questions. He's going to serve them up on a platter. It's going to be the same guys that's been doing it all along. The whole floor, the 11th floor, the 13th floor of the FBI building, the whole house of cards coming down. And this is the leak that puts the pool water in the yard. It's all coming out.
Thank you for the call, Gerald.
Love you, man.
All right, take care. There's a strong opinion right there. But here's a question for you, or here's a thought. Why not phase 1 just be tomorrow's the release? And then Pam Bondi, we can call her Pam Bundy if she murders this whole thing. Pam Bondi, on the day that this is supposed to be released, goes to her desk and says, wait a second, what the hell is this? Where's everything else? And then releases the letter we got today without all of this fanfare. Why not just start with that? For some reason, ladies and gentlemen, the American people who have been looking for this for a long time, I told the SDNY to complement this previous packet of stuff, this 118 pages that the public has been able to view for years now. I told them to complement it with everything that has been detained and kept locked up in New York immediately. And I'm being denied. Why can't we just have started out like that? That would have been exciting. There wouldn't have been all this other shit going on. If there was, go after New York, just go after them. Why everything else? I would have rather we skipped phase 1 and just gone right after the SDNY and just keep updating the country on how the feds in New York are not listening to their attorney general. That's what I would have liked. Okay. Let's see here. I guess one more call, then we'll move on to Gene Hackman. Let's take a call from Katie in Texas. What's going on, Katie?
Hi, Frank. Okay. I had to rush home so I could catch your show right now. And I've been flipping around in the show, so I hope I'm not bringing up something you've already talked about, but I just heard the guy's last call, and I'm on the same page as him. So this is proof. What they put out today in those binders is just proof the SDNY FBI is corrupt. And they're like, look at how they tried to pull the wool over your eyes. And so, they did this on purpose, but now we have physical evidence of how dirty they are. And so phase 2 has got to be, sorry, I'm out of breath because I'm nervous.
It's all right.
Phase 2, I saw this other post on Twitter today about how Pam Bondi and Elon Musk were spotted coming out of a building together. And I didn't understand what that was about. And so now I'm thinking she's probably going to send Elon and his team to SDNY's FBI headquarters to search for all the evidence that they're destroying forensically. And so, the binders were just telling everybody, look at this BS that they just put out, look at how they try to pull the wool over all your eyes.
So wait, let me ask you this. What do you find as far as value? What value did the binder stunt today with the special access delayed release of stuff that we already had before, so that there is these weird kind of cheesy photo ops with the copy and paste tweets that a lot of people were doing, almost like they were pushing out party lines that we always accuse Democrats of doing. What do you think was the value, if any, that was gained by that? If really what you're talking about there, and I agree with you, if the meat that's on the bone is really exposing how the feds in New York are stonewalling the DOJ now that they have someone they don't like in the big seat. If that's the big case, then why do any of the pageantry today and not just make very public declarations about how there is essentially a mutiny happening in the SDNY? I think that would be a lot more of a compelling news story than you just send in Kash Patel to rummage through everything in New York and get things under control. And then phase 1 is actually a substantive release.
Well, honestly, I feel like that headline would just get buried along with all the rest, because we get breaking news all day, every day now. And the binders, like, they couldn't physically give those binders out to every single person in the United States, right? So,
Yeah,
they gave them
PDF.
out to certain people, and certain people made a big deal about getting the binders. And then we all saw it was in the binders, and we're like, this is BS. Like, we already know this stuff. Like, this is ridiculous. But really, if you think about it, that was SDNY giving those binders to the American people. That was SDNY, FBI giving that BS to the American people. So we should accept that as, oh, you just gave me this binder full of BS that I already knew about, and you work for me. I pay your salary.
Well, the other thing too, Katie, that's crazy is that some people who've actually spent time looking through some of the files that were released today that were originally published in I think like June of 2020. There were things that were unredacted in 2020 that were redacted today. It's strange. Like, so it's, I don't know. Today was a very confusing day, but I am intrigued about what comes next, and I appreciate your call.
Hey, no problem. Have a good night. Thanks.
You got it. Have a good one. All right. Let's take a quick break, and then it's going to be Gene Hackman.
I left the stage because I thought I had the shit, but I lost the feeling.
Our 60 Minutes profile this week is on Willie Simon, a 27-year-old man who is able to smoke weed and not get scared.
So do you smoke weed and then go out after, say, to a party?
Yeah, occasionally. Sometimes I'll smoke at the party. Every time I smoke, I convince myself I'm going to die. I took one cart rip in my car before work today, and you would have thought I inhaled the scarecrow's fear toxin.
And when you're high at these parties, do you have those intrusive thoughts?
Like what?
Like how everyone you love hates you, and how your friends only invited you here to kill you?
No. Why would they do that? A year ago, if you told me there was a man who could get high and not get scared, I would have pointed at you and screamed, deceiver. I would have then screamed, seize the false witness, and my guards would have arrested you. But today I say,
That is fucking amazing.
Welcome to Perpetual Health Minute, brought to you by Quite Frankly. Trump's personnel cuts have finally reached the FDA, and the media is not happy. Now, I just did a full Rumble video breaking down the FDA's failings on the food side and on the drug side, so you can check that out if you're interested. But one of the most important points is on your screen right here from the National Library of Medicine. 75% of the budget for the drug division for the FDA, 75% of that budget comes from the pharmaceutical industry, the very industry they are meant to police. Now, I can't think of anything that screams change is necessary more than that. If you want to have a new FDA, if you want to have better health outcomes for Americans, this is the perfect place to start. If you like this video, please follow the new Perpetual Health Rumble channel. You can also find us at perpetualhealth.substack.com. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Back to the show.
He's been down in the basement since it happened. 5 days now. I think he's having some kind of a mental situation. You know, an episode or something.
All right. I see it past the touchy on the...
Hey, you better do something. 'Cause I don't want to be known as the brother-in-law of the town nut job. I got enough problems already. Oh, shit. I got water all over myself.
Okay, so we all got the Gene Hackman news today. So like I said, welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show. Now, when I first saw this morning, I was talking about it with people in the Gilded and in the Discord chat rooms this morning there too. And when I saw this, I said, "Oh, this is carbon monoxide, no doubt." No doubt. The whole family is I mean, the worst stories ever where you hear about entire families, mothers, fathers, children in their beds, and they're gassed in their sleep. the dogs, everything. And when I heard about Gene Hackman and his wife, and a dog, I said, okay, well, I would dollars to donuts that this is what's going on here. And then we started hearing more. And I got that over here. First of all, let's go to the New York Post. Gene Hackman's wife found mummified and bloated by workers who hadn't seen the couple for 2 weeks. So that's the first thing that came out with this, is they said that, oh, well, you know, they were already dead for a couple of days. It sounds like they were dead for a couple of weeks. Gene Hackman's wife was found mummified and bloated when the two were discovered dead with their dog in a multi-million-dollar New Mexico home. And the maintenance workers who initially discovered the quieted house said they hadn't seen the couple in about 2 weeks, police wrote in an affidavit. Authorities said that the deaths were suspicious enough in nature to require a thorough search and investigation after finding the door to the couple's home was unsecured and opened, and an open orange prescription pill bottle and pills scattered around the room where Hackman's wife, classical pianist Betsy Arakawa, and one of their German Shepherd dogs were discovered. Deputies noted that it appeared Arakawa had obvious signs of death, body decomposition, bloating in her face, and mummification in both hands and feet. She was found on the floor of the bathroom near the home's entry, according to the report. The door into the couple's $3.3 million Santa Fe, New Mexico home, which sits on 6 acres and is over 8,000 square feet, was left ajar, but there was no sign of forced entry or theft, according to the report. Authorities also noted in the report that the black space heater was found near Arakawa's head. A responding officer said he suspected the heater could have fallen in the event that the female abruptly fell to the ground. The couple's deceased dog was located about 10 to 15 feet away from Arakawa inside the bathroom's closet, deputies wrote in the report. Inside of the closet. Meanwhile, Hackman's body was located in what deputies believe was the mudroom near a pair of sunglasses. Officers wrote in the report that it appeared that he had suddenly fallen. Everybody just had fallen dead where they were. The cause of death for Hackman, 95 years old. What a way to just get snuffed out. And Arakawa, 65 years old, will be determined by a medical examiner, officials said. The star's daughters and granddaughters said that they were devastated by the loss, remembering him as always just dad and grandpa. So over on Lauren Conlon's page, here's what she got. The front door to the residence was found ajar by 2 maintenance workers. Gene Hackman, his wife, Betsy Arakawa, and the dog were found dead in separate rooms. Their bodies had been dead for some time. Arakawa was in the mummification phase. According to the authorities in New Mexico, no signs of a gas leak. Hackman was found in the mudroom near the kitchen, while Arakawa was discovered in a bathroom next to a portable heater on the ground. Prescription bottle and scattered pills were found near Arakawa. The dog was found in a bathroom closet 10 to 15 feet away from Arakawa. The 2 healthy dogs were found inside and outside of the house. And that's the other thing there too. Hearing that the doors were open, there was 2 other dogs that were healthy that were coming and going as they pleased. They didn't die, so the carbon monoxide thing just went right out the window. And it's crazy. Here's a couple of comments there. Some say, those saying that the dog ate the pills never tried to give a dog pills before. Sadly, I think the dog being locked up. So the dog was locked up in the kennel. I think that's what some people are saying. In the kennel, inside of a walk-in closet. So I have to imagine that the dog starved to death while the other 2 dogs were not locked up. They were able to, I don't know, find some food, scrounge together stuff outside. Frank and Jim Zell are in the chat, or there as well, in the comments on Lauren's tweet, saying something is definitely off for sure. There is foul. This is what Rachel Barone says. 5 points. This woman, Rachel Barone, says. Number 1, there is foul play. Number 2, I think someone has been in the house post-mortem. Number 3, I think those pills are planted. Number 4, why was the dog left in the closet? Just no. Why is the daughter talking to TMZ of all outlets? Now, of course, on the day this happening and the news getting around on the morning of the day that we're going to get Epstein news, people were wondering, is this Epstein related? I know a lot of the Q people were like, suicide weekend stuff. And I just don't see how that would start with 95-year-old Gene Hackman, who's been out of the public eye for so long. The only thing we know about him doing the last couple of years is just being spotted in his truck buying a Whopper at Burger King. And but they also said, well, his ranch, he's only like 20 or so miles away from Zorro Ranch, and I don't know. I'd have to see a little bit more to make me start considering that, but does seem like something else is going on here, especially since nothing has been rummaged through. Nothing was ransacked. Nothing seems to have been taken, unless they're looking for something very specific. But I don't know. 2 weeks and nobody checked up on them. Damn. Anyway, there's a lot. If you wanted to read the actual search warrant, Lauren had tweeted that out. And also, not only did Lauren Conlon tweet that out, but also Bob Motta. And I believe that they're on with each other tonight. They talk about the whole thing. This deputy, it's the walkthrough of the house was by this Deputy Thomas. And he found the female first, the wife first. Obvious signs of death, body decomposition, bloating in her face, mummification in both hands and feet. And the canine was located approximately 10 to 15 feet from the deceased female in a closet of the bathroom, apparently locked up in a kennel. But that detail is not shared in this report for some reason. Still, that got out there. Then they found Gene Hackman. So, right now, unknown, but that's what they're looking into. What do you guys think about this? Very strange stuff on a very strange day at the end of a very strange week. I'm just happy I'm sitting here with you, to be honest. On a personal note, I'm happy I'm sitting here because Lauren and I caring for Aurora on Sunday night, all throughout Monday, I thought for sure my week was going to be spent throwing my guts up. How the hell am I going to avoid whatever the hell she's got? And just wasn't in the cards, I guess. So I'm happy to be here and happy Aurora is feeling a lot better. Although the things that I smelled last night, oh my gosh. I'm not going to say anything just because it's, you know what? She deserves some privacy. Oh my God. Oh, poopy, man. Poopy stink. There's a lot happening in life right now. And 2025 really has been one hell of a year so far. And to think that we're going to be in March in like 36 hours is quite something. But the lines are open, 914-200-0269. What do you think about this? Do you have anything that really has? I know that we have a lot of true crime people in the audience. There is a lot of strange aspects to this case with Gene Hackman. Is it an untimely end at 95? It's certainly an abrupt, mysterious end, and not one that you would wish on anybody that you know, but or don't know, for that matter. But this is where we're at, and I'm glad we got this all in. And we still got about 12 minutes for your calls if you wanted to jump on in. So we've got the Gene Hackman story. That is another growing mystery. Who knows where that's going to go over the course of now weeks and months and anything else. And then there is phase one of what hopefully is a lot more bold plan that has to do with wringing the neck of the activists at the FBI offices in the Southern District of New York. That would be great. Really, really wonderful. Thank you, Tomcat. Let me see. Over on the Rumble, we have a super chat from a high-sized brain. Says, perhaps Bondi is using lame publicity stunt to smoke out riffraff, process details unknown to the public. Perhaps. But it was I don't know, man. The people that were at the White House today did not get a lot of love at all. These are people who are, usually pretty popular and stuff, but this left a bad taste in people's mouths. It really did. So again, could it have been smoked out some other way? I guess it doesn't matter now, but it's still just sitting back and checking out what's going to happen. The dogs are a big clue. People are saying in the chat room over there on Rumble. Let's take another call from 818. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, good evening.
Hey, what's going on
I
there?
thought it was awesome of Trump today, in light of all the Andrew Epstein stuff. I thought it was cool how he flew the Tate brothers to Florida because
yeah.
Trump loves nothing more than pedophiles and sexual deviants.
And that's why
it's almost like a qualification.
It's all that's why he loves your father so much. It's like a qualification. Well, pedophiles and sexual deviants in government is almost like 1 for 1 for sure. But I don't have any. I honestly, the Tates. I can see why anybody wouldn't like that whole situation. I think they're American citizens. I think they have multiple citizenship in places like that. But I don't really have anything to say about that whole thing. Because I don't follow them, and it seems like one of those situations where you either love them or hate them. I'm just have not been interested at all. But I don't know. I couldn't give that last guy what he wanted. I don't have a pacifier big enough. Let's take a call. 516, you're on the air. Hello.
Hi, Frank. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How you doing? What's on your mind tonight?
I wanted to kind of give a little bit of perspective on whatever this Epstein rollout is going to end up being.
Okay. What do you think the conclusion is going to be?
Well, I just want to add a different perspective on it as somebody who has been to Epstein Island as a child.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm doing all right. Go ahead.
Well, I guess one thing I want to mention is, as a lot of people or some people know, is that cruises were a big avenue used to take children to Epstein Island. Most people know about Disney Cruise, but they also don't know that other cruise lines, such as Celebrity Cruises, also went to Epstein Island, which is how I went there as a child. So one thing to consider is that the cruises do the shore excursions, and that was how I went there. There were 2 avenues to get there. There was either officially through the official cruise roster, or there was another way to go independently on our own. I don't know which way we went. This is like 25 years ago at this point.
So Jennifer, I remember in many of the calls that you've paid us over the years, the places you've been. I mean, I believe you even called in to tell us that you were sent into space once, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, how old were you? How old were you with Epstein Island?
This particular instance, I was roughly 12 years old.
12. Okay. How old were you when you went to space?
That was probably, I want to say, between the ages of 5 and 8-ish.
Okay. All right. So on Epstein Island, with what little time we have left, you did. What do you remember about the makeup of the island?
That's a bit complicated to answer because when I went there, I went on a cruise, so I went to multiple different shore excursions at the same time span. So I don't remember exactly what was Epstein Island compared to the other islands. However, on that particular cruise, there were multiple situations where we were put into these fight rings where we had to fight with other children and all that kind of stuff. And that happened multiple times during that cruise. And I believe, if I remember the location accurately, I believe that one of those happened on Epstein Island.
And this is one thing that I never heard you talk about before. You were made to actually fight other children as well. I hope we're not talking to the death, are we?
Yes, unless they told us to stop. Yes.
Oh boy. Okay. And this was what was on the menu for the time that you were there at the island that time?
Multiple of the shore excursions, yes.
Okay.
Or multiple of the islands that we went to, yes.
Wow. Okay. So then obviously, like I said, this can go on for a long time here. But when you see what's going on today and all of the media drama aspects of all this and the bureaucratic aspect of what, of course, that is covering is the top layer of what is really a crazy humanitarian issue and a crisis. When you analyze the bureaucratic aspect of all this, where do you think it's going, and how much faith do you think that there's finally some light at the end of the tunnel on this?
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm not entirely surprised by the rollout today. Disappointed, yes. Surprised, no. The fact that we have an admission of another few thousand Epstein files being from the Southern District of New York, which, by the way, also happens to be where I grew up as a child. So that's, a lovely coincidence. So, I mean, we'll see what comes out. I am cautiously optimistic. We've been hearing the term radical transparency from the administration. So considering what we got from the last time Trump was in office, I'm going to maintain my cautious optimism.
Well, you know what, Jennifer, it's been a long time since I've heard from you, and I'm glad that you're doing well. And it seems like this topic is only going to become more and more relevant in the news cycle for a little while. So I hope we hear from you again soon. And thank you for sharing your experiences.
Great. Thank you for everything you're doing. I really appreciate it. It's because of you that more of us have been able to come forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Take care. That's Jennifer. Haven't heard from her in a while. And 8:56, we're doing pretty good. So maybe we can get one more call in, and then I'll tell you what we have going on after the show. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Hello?
Yeah.
Thank you for everything.
Yeah.
Is this Frank?
Yeah, you just got to turn off the stream in the back.
All right, give me a chance here. All right, I got a theory on, I don't know if you guys are still on the Epstein log or not.
Oh yeah. It's that, and it's whatever else. You're the last call of the night, so go ahead.
Okay. My thing I think that the whole list coming out is something that's time sensitive. That you got to play devil's advocate. One thing you got to do is you got to realize there's a lot of these people. If you come out with a list of all these names, all these people, which are going to be from elite people that we don't know about to celebrities, they're going to sue. They're going to say, hey, you're putting out my name out there and you have no evidence saying that I'm part of whatever it is that's going on. So I think that part of the deal would be is to slowly leak out these names in order to get people to start talking. Also, you're going to have, how do I say it? You're going to have people coming out with cases. Now, I think that before we even start seeing any kind of big names come out, we're going to start seeing subtle little cases coming out here and there about, so-and-so is going to court for this or so-and-so is going to court for that. I think until then, we're not going to really see any big names come out. They're just going to be slowly just putting out names here and there until they finally get some evidence on these people. I personally don't think that they have all the evidence they need, especially with Pam and Cashberry coming in. I think they're facing opposition from some of the people that are already in there.
It's absolutely, no doubt they are. I mean, at least that's what it seems like based on that letter. It is a regional branch that is trying to assert some kind of autonomy or whatever. You can call it buying time if you want or whatever, but I don't know why. If there was something that needed to be done, there's always a whole bunch of rumors. There's a bunch of rumors going on about who's destroying evidence here or there or the other place. And it's, I feel like if they were going to do that, then why not do it? Why not do it the day after Election Day when you had 3 months of the last of the Biden administration? You know who's coming in. Why aren't you going to get, and again, what is so important for the FBI in New York in particular, that they want to hold on to the evidence there for this guy. How compromises the entire SDNY, the entire organization over there, the hierarchy. That would be interesting. Again, today's faux pas, I don't know about that, but this could be interesting going forward. The other thing we have to think about is also grand juries. Hearing about grand juries is going to be something else. You know, when that whole process has been triggered, then something else has been taking it up a notch. But I will look into my Rolodex for some really good guests. And if you have any insight into this, how it would proceed and what we would be allowed to know, and especially in the phase where there's anything that's going to be made public, because that's what this has all been about. This whole thing is we're going to release the Epstein files. That the whole plan here is about public disclosure. So what about this public disclosure plan is an admission? Is this somehow an admission that any kind of legal action has already been completed? How can public disclosure of this stuff as a political promise to the nation actually go hand in hand with and not compromise anything that could be an investigation and a trial and conviction and justice served going forward? What won't compromise trials going forward? That's something that's already been brought up tonight. That would be interesting. So if you are someone who works, if you're a trial lawyer, if you've worked in anywhere near something like this, no matter how high profile or low profile it is, the mechanics are all the same. Evidence, juries, presentation, chain of custody. It's all the same. So by all means, get in touch with me because I'd like to hear a little bit more. All right. Okay. So here's what we have coming up after the show on quitefrankly.tv. The programming is as follows. We have the Functional Human Podcast. That is Jay Gulanello and Daryl. Jay and Daryl, episode 8, the Functional Human Podcast, right after this show ends on quitefrankly.tv. That is exclusive stuff for you. Wonderful stuff. I don't know what they're diving into in this episode, but it is well worth a watch. It's under an hour. It's fresh. You got to go check it out. Then you got Owen Schroyer, FBI New York Field Office, hiding and destroying Epstein evidence. Eric Prince, interviewed by Breitbart News, November 4th, 2016. That's the one I'm talking about. See? John Carroll's been listening, and he threw that in for tonight. So those of you who don't remember this was like 2 days before Election Day, 2016. I remember listening to that Eric Prince interview on Breitbart News in the morning on Sirius XM. I was driving to a client's house where, personal training. And I remember I was just like, oh no, I don't want to go inside. I was in my car. I wanted to listen to the rest of it. And we got the interview later on that night so we can talk about it on the air. But you got to check that out. Tucker Carlson interviews Chris Josephs, Nancy Pelosi stock tracker. Alan Watts, Live Without Worry and Fear. And then an Art Bell kicker with Jim Deerdorf, ETs and the Bible. So we got a really great after hours ready for you on quitefrankly.tv. Go check it out. All you got to do is jump over there and press play. There's no paywall. There's nothing. It's just good after hours, fun. Take your mind to other places and talk with people in a great chat room and interact on pill.net. It's all there. All right. So thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody. No, didn't miss anybody there. Oh, there's one on Rumble. We got a Rumble rant from Red Dragonfly 222. Says, Frank, you always give us such a great show. Thank you. Well, thank you for that. And I'll be releasing those gold pills and everything else. And send me some email. Become a sponsor. Today and tomorrow, the last days that you can jump in on the February sponsorship special, whatever the hell it is. Any monthly sponsor you take up from any tier, doesn't matter where, on quitefrankly.tv sponsor us page, and we're sending you stuff to your house, including samples from Keto Brainz, which people are starting to Now all the reviews are coming in, and I love that. Everybody's loving the Keto Brainz. They're also loving all the stuff that Aurora and Lauren are sending home as the welcome package, the movie package. So become a sponsor anywhere, and then I'll be there to greet you. Patreon, subscribe, star, doesn't matter where. Good night. See you tomorrow. It's the last of the week tomorrow. The last of the month, too. Good night.
I'll catch you on the flip side.